I'm going to type in random topic generator, and we're going to go off of that
Sounds good, Hefner.
generator.
While you're typing, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you.
Sure, please.
Alex Hefner
Yes.
is a prolific podcast reaction channel guru
Yes.
who also happens to have a law degree.
Yes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he did pass the bar.
That's
So
right.
He's actually kind of like a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I do in my downtime. And the first random topic we're talking about is wrestling. So, you have any experience in wrestling? Did you ever wrestle yourself in high school or something like that?
I did not wrestle. I wrestle a lot with my emotions, but no formal wrestling experience as a sport.
Okay.
You know?
Did you have buddies that did wrestling at all?
We didn't have a wrestling team in my high school. So
Did you go to a small ass high school?
I went to a smallish private Lutheran high school in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh. You don't strike me as like a religious high school type of dude.
Well,
Was it like a what tier was it? Because in high school you got like what 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A type of stuff, right? In terms of sheer size.
we were probably on the smaller end. I think we had like 900 students in my high school total,
Wow.
not just my class.
I think there were like over 1,000 in my class alone.
Wow.
So something that freaks me out about wrestling is like just the like weight fluctuation.
Yeah.
Because that's so unhealthy, dude. Like so many people, they're I don't know, say 200 pounds, and then they cut and just break that down to 170,
Right.
160 to meet a lower weight class, starving themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty sketch. I mean, any fight sport, you're going to have that kind of weird cut phase.
Right.
And it's generally not healthy, but I think it's getting better. I mean, the science is a little better, and people are getting a little smarter.
Right.
But yeah, it is weird. And especially being that young.
Yeah.
And having to starve yourself and dehydrate yourself for 3 days before the match.
Yep.
And then try to put it all back on real fast before you fight or
It's
before you
nuts.
wrestle. Yeah,
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
I personally think that I would have been a decent boxer because I'm like thin enough to where I'm not a heavy person and I got like crazy long reach.
Yeah.
You ever box?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did mostly like Muay Thai kickboxing.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's really the main mixed martial art that I studied. I did a little karate and quicks. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
Done a little Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then mostly Muay Thai. Because we're similar. We're kind of long, lanky, not super heavy.
Right.
But we got long reach. And
Yeah.
Yeah, we got good leverage.
Any desire? Are you still doing any mixed martial arts at all?
Well, I'm 35, so I do have a desire to do it, but not really to compete because I'm
Okay.
pretty much
Just to stay in shape, and if
yeah.
you need to kick someone's ass, you can kick someone's ass.
Absolutely. Now, you, on the other hand, you could start now. You could start
26.
Yeah, you could train. If you're natural, you train for a couple of years, get a couple wins, and by the time you're 29, 30, really like go full on. And then if you do well, you have a good 4 or 5 years before you're kind of over the hill. Like I'm right there at the cutoff. Like I could still fight for sure.
You're actually talking about competitive fighting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do it, you're
Okay.
gonna do
See,
it.
I don't have necessarily a huge interest in that. I just want, if push comes to shove and someone fucks with me, I just want to be able to kick someone's ass if I need to.
Yeah. Well, I think you should do Muay Thai, and I think you should do BJJ.
What's
That'd be
your
perfect.
love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What's your take on like Krav Maga? Because that's like that's more like what, tactical, like street fighting type shit. But I don't think it's as well respected in like the actual Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Muay Thai arena.
I don't have a lot of. I mean, I do have an opinion on it, but I don't have a lot of.
I would love to hear your opinion on
fact-based
it.
opinion.
Think
I
it's
mean,
bullshit?
I look at Krav Maga, especially in America, as the strip mall self-defense.
Okay.
You feel me? Like it's definitely valid. Krav Maga as an idea, especially out of Israel, is an extremely.
Is that where it originated from?
Yeah, it's
really wow.
It's Israeli counterterrorism tactics, and in Israel, every citizen is a part of the military. There's no choice. You automatically go into the military out of high school, and every citizen of a certain age has a rifle in their home, and if they're called to arms, they're essentially a standing militia / military for the state. So they have to be trained in it, and so it's very practical. It's using objects, it's using headbutts and eye gouges and things like that, and those kind of techniques. And that's what they train, because that's kind of their reality, right? They have a lot of insurgency in that state. They have a lot of they could be in a street fight with an enemy with AK-47 or with a bomb or with that kind of thing.
It's nuts.
Or with a rock or a stick, and that happens on a day-to-day. We don't really have that here. So
right.
For what it was designed for, I think it works well, especially where it's applied. Now
Okay.
here, you can't really train an eye gouge. You really can't train the way that they want you to train. So you never know how you're going to react in that situation. So I always prefer to lean toward the martial arts that actually puts you in the situation. When you train jiu-jitsu, you get choked out weekly.
I got you.
You get submitted daily. You get actually put in these positions.
Right.
You have to apply and practice and apply and
Right.
practice. Same thing with Muay Thai. Like, you learn how to get punched in the face because you get punched in the face and kneed and
That
kicked
makes sense.
and all that stuff. So,
I've never heard anybody describe it like that, but that's really cool that you can't actually practice your full 100% craft until you're in the moment, and that's not a recipe for success.
Right. Generally speaking, you're probably going to panic. You're probably going to, the situation's not going to come out like they taught you in class. And that's why
Right.
I think it's the strip mall martial art, because it's kind of like how karate was in the 80s. Karate's like, okay, grab me by the collar. And then you do. And then they're like, all right, then I do this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, have you ever been in a street fight? It's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's dirty and nasty and
Yeah.
grimy and unpredictable.
Right. I got
So,
you.
yeah.
Damn, that's interesting. You got a breadth of knowledge about mixed martial arts and all that sort of stuff. That's interesting.
I love mixed martial arts.
Do you watch a lot of UFC?
I watch UFC. My a good friend of mine, the guy that actually taught me how to Muay Thai kickbox, is named Joe Schilling, and he fights in Bellator. He does MMA. He's a professional Muay Thai kickboxer. He has a gym in LA. He's been on Rogan twice.
Oh, wow.
He's got like one of the best knockouts.
What's his name?
Joe Schilling.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he was supposed to have a fight on the 14th, but one of his teammates tested positive for COVID.
Oh, shit.
So they canceled his fight, even though he tested negative twice and everybody else tested negative.
Yeah.
Some fucked up bullshit.
Dude, that's a whole fucking this COVID thing. It's crazy because I keep hearing of, like, in different countries there's like second waves and stuff, and I feel like at this point in time, because everybody's so tired of being at home, it's like they're just desensitized to it to the point where it's like, they just brush it off. How long do you think we're going to be in this quarantine thing? I've heard well into 2022, all through 2021. What's your take on all this COVID stuff?
Well, my take is probably a unpopular take that would get me labeled a freaking like white supremacist neo-Nazi weirdo.
You think it's all a hoax?
I don't think a hoax is a silly word. I think the framing of the facts has been
blown out of proportion.
And I think someone could argue like a purposefully misleading. So my take on COVID is this: talking about waves, talking about spikes, talking about all that is kind of pointless. The only metric that we need to be worrying about at this moment, this far into the COVID pandemic, is mortality rate, death rate, and then dissecting those rates down and seeing actually who among us are most susceptible to having a negative consequence.
But even that gets skewed with the whole death count, because if someone had, I think this is the case, don't fact check me, or you could if you want to, but if someone has like heart disease and that's what they're ultimately dying from, and they actually die from that, and they just so happen to have COVID, I think it gets labeled a COVID death.
It does.
So that's not even like a valid statistic to really draw a base value from.
I agree. I agree completely. But even less valid of a statistic is just number of cases.
Yeah.
Number of cases means absolutely nothing.
Right.
Because 99% of those cases recover. So this COVID-19 is a SARS-2 respiratory virus. I think that's the family of virus it's in.
Okay.
And so is like a lot of common cold.
Yeah, the flu. Don't more people
right.
statistically die from the flu?
Absolutely. So, yeah, you break it down. Like, look at the flu.
Which is miserable.
Yeah, it's miserable. But people get the flu. How many people do you think get the flu every year?
Oh, my gosh.
That don't test that says you've got the flu. So, let's say you and I both get the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Your fiance is a nurse,
mm-hmm.
and so she's like, hey, babe, come, let's get this checked out. And you get it checked out, and they diagnose you with the flu. They do the swab, whatever the bullshit they do. They give you the treatment, therapy, whatever, you recover like normal. I get the flu. I'm a derelict, and I just fucking lay around my house. I don't go to the doctor at all, and I recover as well. Your case is reported in the final numbers of flu cases. My
Yours
case is not.
Right.
No one cares about the number of flu cases.
Right.
We only care about the number of fatal flu cases when we count the flu every year.
Follow.
That's how we should be looking at COVID.
Got it.
So the fact that there are spikes of new cases reported, what that means is several things. It means that there are more people getting tested, so more things are being reported.
Sure.
And the availability of testing is way higher now than it used to be.
Mm.
So when you look at a spike, is it a spike or is it just better testing? I don't know. You have to look at the data. You have to actually look at the variables. So when the news reports spikes in COVID-19, they always look to make it as salacious as possible because that's what they do. But if you're thinking critically, you go, well, maybe it's a spike, or maybe it's just people are now being, there are more tests available to the population and it shows as a spike. But really this whole time, there have been those kind of numbers floating around because most people have little to no symptoms and they recover fine, and they may or may not have even gotten a test because it was too complicated. They're like, I got a little sore throat.
Yeah.
2 days later, they feel great.
Yeah.
And they don't even think about it. So the numbers are the death rate numbers, even though those are pretty wrong, but those are more important. And then also where the deaths are. Where are the deaths? The deaths aren't in high schools. The deaths aren't in grade schools. They're not in colleges.
So you think we should open schools up?
I think we should open everything up.
Yeah.
Everything. And if you are in a demographic that has been proven out by the data that you're high risk,
right,
then you should get a pass to work from home into quarantine as long as you need to. Employers shouldn't be able to fire you and things like that.
Right.
Obviously, retirement homes, the elderly, all that needs to be highly protected. Those people should be highly protected.
Right.
But other than that, we need to live our lives. Suicidality is up like 70%.
Plus, there's the whole thing about, exactly. Now, what is that attributed to? Is that from people being depressed because they're so stressed out about this virus? And then the other side of the coin could be like, people are quarantined at home, and that means that whether you're a good family or a family that's laced with abuse broken, right? And then you have kids that are with an abusive parent all day, every day. Mm-hmm. And two things that spiked whenever quarantine happened and COVID happened and everybody was quarantined was pregnancies and divorce rates. So it was like people are either having them quarantine babies or they're getting divorced because they can't stand being with each other for that long.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting.
It is. Well, I have a baby on the way. I mean,
a quarantine baby?
I'm a statistic there.
Quarantine baby.
Quarantine.
Congratulations.
Baby. Yeah, little Quarantina. No, I'm just kidding.
Quarantina.
I'm having a boy. I'm having a boy.
Quarantino.
Quarantino. Quentin Quarantino is his name. But it makes sense, you know. It when you have a close relationship with someone and you're forced to be on top of each other in this way.
Right.
Also, it's not just about being, I think, at least my opinion is, it's not just about the proximity it is, right? Like, you're in close proximity with the people you live with anyway.
Right.
But it's the lack of a healthy outlets that make it bad, right? Because we all have our own demons, we all have our own quirks and little personality defects and stuff, and those things just exist in human beings, and they're never going to go away. But we've all found ways to manage those things, whether it's, I go to the gym every day and I manage my stress that way,
right.
Or I'm someone who likes the arts and I like to be out, and I'm a social butterfly. So
right.
for me, meeting up with friends and having a drink or going to a concert or a theater or a museum, whatever it is, that's my way.
Right.
So you remove all those healthy ways to manage our internal demons. Then you get thrown in a box with another human being that's experiencing the same thing.
Right.
And now it's like a pressure cooker, all of that, and there's no outlet. And so you're either going to be fucking or fighting, or maybe both.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things.
Dude, yeah, and the proper outlet is necessary. Even so I've started going back to the gym these past 2 days.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's interesting because right whenever my alarm goes off, I don't think that voice that tells you in your head that tells you need 2 more hours of sleep ever goes away.
No.
You just got to be like, shut the fuck up, voice. I'm going to get my ass out of bed. And it's like a constant fight. And then even in the gym, bro, I get up, I go to the gym, I walk in the cold to the gym because I'm in an apartment complex. I get there and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm here. I'm awake now. Start lifting a little bit of weights. 10, 15 minutes goes by, I'm like, I could easily go back home. And I kind of want to. And it's like, you got to fight that too. Yeah. It's just crazy, bro. So from someone who's been working out a long, long time, does that ever go away? Or do you have to consistently fight that inside voice?
You're always fighting. Yeah, I mean, even so, I lost my motivation to go to the gym over quarantine as well. And when depression and things sets in, it makes it even harder a bit to fight that. But I think we all have that, and it never really goes away all the way. Mm-hmm. But what does happen sometimes is that when you get in there for a consistent period of time, maybe it's 4 weeks, everybody's a little different on what that means to them, then you feel like not complete if you don't get the workout. Like if you ever left the house without brushing your teeth, and then you just feel awful, and you're like, oh, and like even though like maybe you like got some mouthwash or did something so your breath isn't rank, but it's still like your teeth. You're like,
you feel like that like film over. Yeah, it's sick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Same thing with the gym.
Mm-hmm. And I mean that's an addiction too. It releases serotonin and it releases that good feeling chemical in your brain. So once you get that and then you don't have it, you're like actually addicted to the process. That's the point I want to get back to.
Yeah.
Because I remember my aunt at one point, whenever I was working out hard, all I wanted to do was just work out. I always had a protein shake in my hand, always. My aunt was like, hey, she's a flight attendant. She was like, hey, we're going to Hawaii. You want to tag along? My first question, I wasn't even like, yeah. I was like, is there access to a gym? Can I still work out in Hawaii? I want to get back to that point, dude. That was
you can get there. It's just going to be that long road uphill in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you said, fighting that like inner voice, that procrastinator, that little like lazy fuck.
I want to be a soldier.
You want to be a soldier. Get your swole on.
Yeah.
Everybody, get your swole on. Get your swole on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be my theme song as I'm walking to and from work and to the car and everywhere.
Absolutely. And I mean, look at your platform, right? Like you've got such a large audience that's looking at your reaction videos, and they're looking at you kind of like as the arbiter of music for them, or as someone that validates their musical choices and their interests, right?
Right.
And they've grown accustomed to you and things like that. Now, if you start a journey into fitness, you can start making music playlists for your workouts. And then people will naturally start asking you about your workouts. And then you can start telling them about your workouts. And then you can start talking to people about the things that you're taking. And then all of a sudden, you've got supplement endorsements and money coming in. And you've got another monetary system for you, because that's the flow of this, right? Like you flow into and sync your value, which is this music reaction and this audience. And now they're like, oh, well, what are you listening to in the gym?
Right.
Oh, I'm listening to this. And it's like, maybe I'll do like a gym playlist weekly thing, and then you start doing that, and then people
weekly gym playlist reveal.
Ooh,
It's like, this is what I would jam it. That's a good idea.
That's good.
That's
That's
all
good.
you.
And then it can open you up, right? It can open your audience up to different musical styles that you
Right.
like. Because it's a lot of metal and rock. And
What do you listen to in the gym? Do you have a go-to, or does it switch based on your mood? Or?
it switches a lot.
For sure. Mine too.
I've got several phases, right? So I have my like tried and true, like kind of like my standard music kind of baseline, which is 90s grunge and then on into metal as well. So it's like a lot of like old like Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots.
Do you listen
Linkin
to a
Park.
lot of heavier things in the gym than you traditionally would in the car? You amp that shit up in the gym.
I do amp it up. And then there are other times with like I'll listen to some like, you know, quality hip hop in the gym, a little fast paced.
Got it.
And then maybe I also really dig like good drum and bass, like Chase and Status and things like that from like the UK, and like old school dubstep, like real dubstep, like Rusko and things like that.
Okay.
And I'll jam that in the gym because that's pretty heavy, pretty good. It keeps your heart rate up.
Yeah.
So I kind of flow between those things. One thing you'll never hear me listening to in the gym is pop music. I don't listen to pop in the gym.
It just doesn't have that edge.
No.
It's just like, I'm
just like sitting there like
gallivant around the fucking flowers.
I'm not prancing around. Definitely not prancing around for that. But I do like that. I also like a lot of progressive, like almost like instrumental metal.
Okay.
Like Animals as Leaders, or
I haven't heard of them. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of like, you heard of Motionless in White?
Mm-mm.
Really?
Motionless in White.
In White, yeah. They're a fucking awesome band.
Okay.
It's like, I've been listening to them. Shit, the other day I was even listening to, yesterday, listening to Drake. And that's like not a, that's not like
not a gym.
It's not a gym thing, but I was feeling it.
Hey.
And I was just like, it's weird, bro.
Whatever
It's
gets
weird
you
when your
through.
body, when your mind tells you, it's like, this is what I need to listen to right now. Couldn't tell you why. Doesn't fit the gym vibe. I needed to throw it on.